All right. I think I started the stream. We're going to be starting this in about 2 minutes. Let me just make sure that we are up and running. I'm also going to tweet this on Twitter and on Insta, or not Insta, Discord. Okay, cool. So we're up and running. Let me actually start the event. So start the event. Start. I'm going to message everybody. Okay, cool. Just sent the message out to everybody. We will see if people join. Emerald City Season 0 proposal. Is this just me or is this like off center? Like, why is this like over here? That's weird. Okay. Hey there, Amethyst. Good to see you. Just waiting for some people to come in. Hey there, R29. What's up, Tommy?
Hi.
We have Bam tuning in. Hey, Bam.
How's it going?
It's good, Tommy.
Nice. I'm excited.
You're excited? Are you
Yeah.
excited to get the Minecraft server running?
Yeah. First priority.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, Bam, I think you were mentioning that you wanted to like also get the Minecraft server up and running because you were bored. So yeah, we'll work with our lead of Minecraft, Tommy here to get that going. I think he's also going to code a computer out for us on Minecraft, so let me share my screen. Yeah, for real. All right. So, hey Dean, it's good to see you as well.
Hey, Jacob. Good to see you too.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. So I'm basically just sharing. I hope you can all see it, but I'm sharing my the season 0 document. It's on Google Docs. So let me know if you can see it. But essentially what we're going to be doing today is just sort of talking about like the season 0 document. And if you don't know what that means, that's basically like what are the goals of Emerald City going to be in the next like 2 or 3 months. And this is really just like a helpful document to provide people like some information when they ask about what the DAO is, because right now, when someone joins the Discord and they say like, okay, what's Emerald City? It's kind of just like, well, view the announcements channel, like I'll explain it again, that kind of thing. But it's really helpful to have like a document that we can all like write up together and agree on, and then show that to people as they ask about like what Emerald City actually is. So most of this we're going to be, we know all this already, but it's really just helpful to put this in written form, and then we can vote on it and see if people agree with these ideas. All right. So what I've done so far is I've actually copy and pasted. There's a DAO called M Club. So I actually showed this during our last town hall meeting, that there was a document for M Club, which is like the Mirror Club. They're another DAO on Flow. But I copy and pasted their document, and then I changed all like the M Club references to Emerald City. So all of this is not specific to Emerald City. This is all for like the M Club DAO. But we're going to be changing these to actually fit the Emerald City goals to see, what we think we're going to be tackling in the next few months. All right, cool. I see we have some other people tuning in. Oh, hey, Bulent, good to see you as well. Thanks for joining. So, yeah, so let's just start out like, broad, like what is Emerald City, right? So when someone opens this document, they're going to want to know, so can we create a channel that includes this information and require people to react to an emoji? Oh yeah, so that's also pretty smart. So what we can do, Amethyst, is we can sort of have like a channel that we want people to go to, and verify that they've like read the rules or something, and then also maybe like view this document to sort of get an idea of what this DAO is about. So yeah, that's a good idea. So what's our mission, right? So Emerald City aims to, and then let's start listing our things here. So this is not specific to Emerald City, but let's start listing like what Emerald City aims to be. And if any of you have any ideas about this, this is a totally open discussion. So feel free to unmute and just talk over me if you wish. But so I'll start this off by saying Emerald City aims to, and one of the things we talk about, in the last town hall meeting was that it aims to educate the Flow community in basically whatever way possible. So what this means is that people that are coming to Emerald City, some of them don't even know what like the Flow blockchain is, right? And so we want Emerald City to sort of be that gateway to open them up to like the world of the Flow blockchain. And so we will be accepting people of all experience levels, and it's important that we have sort of different avenues for people to go down depending on what experience level they're at. So I'm not the best writer, so I don't know how to communicate that in like one sentence per se, but educate the Flow community, and I guess and provide different avenues for developers of all experiences. So it's also important to mention that this includes non-developers, right? Because we want to educate people of all experiences. Now the second goal is to work with other DAOs to build DAO tooling. And so what this means, so I guess there's two separate things, right? So we want to work with other DAOs to understand what tooling needs to be built. And then the third goal is to actually build that tooling. So these are two separate things because they will be handled by potentially different groups. But one of them is to actually go out, reach out to other DAOs, see what people need built. And then once we have that sort of curated list, we actually build that tooling. And so this is sort of like the process for what Emerald City aims to do. So I think that, at least in my head, these are three broad goals that Emerald City hopes to sort of abide by in the next 2 to 3 months. So does anyone have any opinion on these, or maybe could we specify these any better to better to better communicate what our goals are in the next 3 months? So I'll just wait a couple seconds in case anyone has any opinion on this. Okay. Cool. So then we sort of get into like the why Emerald City, right? So let's so if we read like the oh yeah, Dean, you unmuted. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to. I might have been a bit late too. I was just going to say, in the interest of just less is more. Is it possible to simplify? I mean, because I'm thinking back to your slides from last week. You had it in two big buckets, right? So the educate and then the kind of build the tooling.
Yep.
Is it possible that 2 and 3 can just be combined into one for
I love it.
succinctness?
Yeah, I love it. And I like that a lot because you're right. When we talked about it last week, we sort of had like the educate and then the build. So let's keep it to that and not confuse people with like, two bullet points for one purpose. So I liked it a lot. Um, cool. So then, we sort of get into like why Emerald City, right? So this is like this is like from the M Club. So like M Club is more than a publishing platform, provides tools for whatever. So I guess like why are people coming to Emerald City? Um, and it's sort of like a paragraph form of like these two, but I think people would come to Emerald City. So like people would come to Emerald City to learn about development, like in general, or the Flow blockchain. Um, so maybe we could even specify this a little more to say like, people who come to Emerald City to learn about development. We could even say like Web3 or the Flow blockchain specifically. So people that are, non-developers would be sort of starting at this like development stage. People that are developers but don't know anything about Web3 would be sort of go into this bucket. And then people that are, into Web3 but just don't know about the Flow blockchain would sort of go into this bucket. Um, and so, EC, I guess we call them mentors, will like identify the avenue, the different like avenues that newcomers will fit in. And what I mean by this is like we want people in the community sort of like helping others that are coming into the community find their place. Okay. So we want mentors coming in to help people find their place in the community. And then the second thing is, so this is sort of like that first bucket, and then the second thing is like, why Emerald City? Well, because we, want to build the tooling necessary for DAOs to function. And we're doing this largely through our own DAO. So, why is Emerald City even a DAO in the first place? Well, it's because we want to sort of be that use case, or we want to be an example for a DAO on Flow, and through our DAO, we can identify some needs in the space and build the tooling that we need to function for our DAO, and then we can apply it to other DAOs as well. So I guess the best way of saying that would be, we want to build the tooling necessary for DAOs to function, largely through the Emerald City use case. And so, once we develop tooling, we will expand it to other DAOs that need it. So hopefully this is sort of like a, here, let me mute that. Okay, so this is sort of like a, short paragraph version of like why Emerald City in the first place. And then, so if we're moving on, and again, if anyone has anything to say, just totally interrupt me. It's fine. But how Emerald City supports creators. Let's sort of go over this and maybe even decide whether or not this is something that Emerald City should look at. So how will Emerald City like support? I guess we'll say like community members. Well, one is through that sort of education aspect, and two is through like I guess we could say like rewards for building tooling. So like what is sort of like the benefit for community members to come into Emerald City? Well, one is obviously the education, right? So learning basically everything about Flow. And I like to say like from zero to hero. So starting from, almost not even knowing about development in general to sort of like, knowing everything about the Flow blockchain possible. And this is through like, different YouTube series and courses and stuff like that. So that's sort of the one aspect. And then after this, I think what's so important to mention is, maybe the second option is the like sort of graduation process that I talked about last week. So once a community member has shown, I guess like a level of expertise on Flow, we will like help them find opportunities in the Flow ecosystem, one of which will be building the DAO tooling. So what this means is, as we educate people in the system, we will then, sort of have this graduation phase where a community member like sort of, understands Flow and wants to sort of apply this to the real world. And so we will help them find opportunities in the Flow ecosystem, whether that's smart contract, cadence development, or actually going and building the DAO tooling, which leads to this last point, which is the rewards for building the tooling. So this is in the form of bounties, FUSD, in the future. I would say in the future Emerald token, but we're talking about season 0 here. So we likely won't have an Emerald token, deployed soon, right? So this is something that should probably be discussed later. So rewards for tooling, bounties, and then like the experience of having a example project down. So sort of tying into this graduation step, like once people graduate from the education part, they actually can put something on their resume or have an example project down. Cool. So then, how does this sort of look for everybody, right? This is for those of you that have been here for like a few days/weeks now. This seems like sort of a summary of what we hope to do, but I hope that this messaging is clear about what sort of our goals are. All right, cool. And everyone that's tuning in, thanks for joining. Bjartek, hey, I see you here. Jules as well, thanks for joining.
Hello.
Hello. All right. So let's get into sort of like what is a season, because some of you may be confused by this. But essentially, so this is sort of like the M Club's description of what a season is. So a season is a discrete period of time when Emerald City members can come together to align on projects and experiments that help us in achieving our broader mission, right? So this is basically just a period of time, let's say 2 to 3 months, that we will have to, basically all work together to achieve these goals, right? This mission right here. So this is sort of discussing the ways in which this will happen. Okay, so this seems good enough for now. So the Emerald City Season 0 vote. So the Emerald City Season 0 vote to approve Season 0 will be done using, we don't know this yet, right? So of course the M Club put snapshot, but we don't know what this platform is yet. So maybe it's worth discussing what exactly this platform will look like. So yeah. And then if approved, Emerald City Season 0 will officially begin. So why don't we sort of almost even decide on a date here? So why don't we give this like, I guess when do we actually want to start Season 0? What is everyone thinking about this? I personally, I think that maybe it would be smart, since it is the holidays, maybe we think about starting this in the new year just to give people some time, because I don't want people to be like, sort of stressed about missing stuff in the Discord, when they're spending time with family and all that. So maybe it would make sense to just get this up and running once the new year comes out, once the new year starts. All right, so I'm gonna take that as a yes. So what we can do is, for now, we'll put this January, let's just say January 1st. So this season's gonna start January 1st, and what this also allows us to do is maybe like, sort of discuss this and vote on it. It gives us a little bit of time to actually like make this final decision before we officially launch Season 0. Because once Season 0 starts and we vote on it, then this document will be sort of official, and it won't be able to be changed for 2 months or so. And so we can say that Season 0 will last for 2 months. And let's just say then if it's going to last for 2 months, then it's until March 1st. So it'll be a 2-month period of time. It'll be all of January and all of February. And I think that's much more simple. So this seems fine to me. All right, cool. So then Season 0 key objectives. So here we go, right? So this was actually what we were talking about in the previous town hall. Let's see. So agreed +1. Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Sorry, I wasn't even looking at this text channel. But awesome. Okay, good. So I'm glad people think this is good. So then what are our key objectives, right? So obviously this is our broader mission, but we need sort of key defined goals to actually achieve, so that by the time that March 1st comes around, we can point to these and say, yep, it's done, right? We can say, okay, flow.land is on mainnet for every DAO. Boom. So, and also it's important to note that these objectives don't have to be like huge goals, right? Because, if we have so many different things to tackle and we get to March 1st and we're like, okay, we only did 2 of them, then maybe we'll use that sort of understanding in our Season 1 document. But we don't want to like, stress ourselves out or put us in a position to fail, right? We want to sort of have this, these key objectives be obtainable. So what we can, we can do stuff like reaching out to DAOs to see what they would like to have in Flow.land. So this is one thing that I think would be pretty cool, right? So actually talking to DAOs on Flow and seeing what we could add to the Discord bot. And also, why don't we also put like since we're talking about key objectives, what we can do is sort of combine these into one because it's just Flow.land in general. So why don't I say like the Flow.land bot? We're gonna put Flow.land on mainnet for every DAO. Reach out to DAOs, see what they would like to have in Flow.land, and then also like come up with a name. So we don't want to be calling it Flow.land forever because this is obviously like not our name. But we'll sort of come up with our own sort of system. It could literally be as simple as like Emerald Bot, but we'll want to come up with some sort of name for this. So I think that one key objective will be this Flow.land bot, simply because we've already gained a lot of traction around it. People are really interested in it, right? So it makes sense for us to sort of continue with this and see what we can do with it out there in the Flow ecosystem. And then why don't we also make it a key objective to form a team to develop this? So, as of right now, I've been doing most of the heavy lifting here, but if people are interested in doing this bot, we could sort of get that team going. Now, I also understand that it's probably really important that we have some sort of like reward system for this, because we don't expect people to just be doing tons of work for no reason. But well, I mean not for no reason, but we don't want to have people doing work just and using up a lot of their time, since I know everyone's very busy. So we will have to sort of come up with some sort of like reward system, which I think might be like the second thing here, which is like figuring out how to reward contributors. And what I mean by this is like, we want to figure out, we're probably not going to have a token in the next 2 months if we're being realistic. So what are other ways we can reward contributors, right? So if we think about like FUSD, right? So we're going to try and keep everything on Flow, just because of the nature of the DAO. But like maybe, if we see people contributing, then they get rewarded in some sort of FUSD token. And what I think is important to mention here is that a lot of DAOs have this sort of structure, this bounty structure, where you sort of publish a bounty, someone goes and does that bounty, and then they get the tokens that were specified. I am a huge opponent of that like model. I don't like bounty systems, and the reason I don't like bounty systems is because I feel like they incentivize the wrong people. We want people developing this bot because they care about the community and because they understand the goals and interests of the DAO, and then they should be rewarded, after the fact. Whereas if you have sort of like a published bounty, then you sort of create a community where people are coming into the DAO simply to do that bounty and then leaving. Those people that are coming into the DAO also don't understand, the core interest of the DAO. So we need core developers. Bounty sounds temporary. Yeah, exactly. Um, so like, yeah. So like we do need developers that are like, sort of like on a development team or so, which we will get into like when we go over this like building community. But we will need people that we can sort of point to and say, hey, do you mind like tackling this for this month or so? And then maybe we have some sort of like pool of FUSD that we can distribute to those developers once the project is over, right? So it'll be sort of like locked in a smart contract, and then once the product is out and live, then it gets distributed or something like that. But yeah, so we will need to find some sort of like core development team. Okay, so this is like Flow.land, figuring out how to reward contributors. And then, so what are these other, okay, so, and then key objectives. Okay. So, if we were to talk about, so this is like mostly building, right? This is product, but what are our key objectives for education? And this is something where like I really am looking to all of you to sort of help out here, because this education aspect is actually really hard, right? It's easy to just say like, oh, we want to educate people, but what are some objectives we can, actually point towards and say, hey, we did it. We achieved this during the month of February. We want people, going through tutorials. We want people learning and saying, like I actually learned a lot. So what are some key objectives we can come up with on the educational side to measure the success of this DAO? Yeah, so almost like a tutorial system, right? So if we were to go to like here's one example, right? So if we go to like GitHub, what is it called? Um, yeah, so if we go to like the Zero to Jacob course, right? That I've been doing just on the side. So maybe there's some key objectives around here, right? So like in here, um, yeah, no, yeah, t totally. So like in build space, for example, right? Like they have like, let's say they have some sort of quest, or let's say they have some sort of tutorial, and like, 100 people take that tutorial and then come up with an example project. That's a perfect example of like a key objective where they're directly measuring the success of their like uh tutorials. So, in something like this, right, the Flow Zero to Jacob course, there's quests, right, that people can submit. And so maybe a key objective is we want like 100 quests to be submitted in January and February. Um, so it's sort of like that, right? And that's sort of, like a cool little goal we can have. But I don't want education to just be through me because I don't want this to seem like a self-promotion thing. I want other people to also, like maybe what are some goals for educators, right? So, if we think about like the learners, we could have something like, submit 100 requests. But when we think about, like the other side, which is the educators, right? So we want, 10 tutorials to be published or something like that, right? So we want we want educators in the space to go out there and come up with their own educational sort of platforms to help people get on board into the Flow community. Um, we should use season zero to decide what education gaps there are. I like that a lot. So maybe what we do is for like the educator side, we sort of talk about, going out there and figuring out what gaps need to be like filled in order for people to feel comfortable in the Flow ecosystem. Um, so maybe, yeah, so I'll just write what Andrea put, but we can have teams separated to make research for people on different levels, such with different backgrounds. Yeah, so stuff like that as well, right? So, we have some sort of like core educators team, but we have people that are reaching out and helping people of all experience levels. Exactly, Amethyst. Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's sort of what I mean by this educators thing. It's like we want people in the community to sort of turn around and take their own experiences and help out instead of doing it individually. Yeah. So so what we could do is that's a good point actually. What we could do is instead of having sort of like an individual thing like this, right, where this is just like sort of me just posting like content, what we could do is have like an Emerald City platform that promotes content through that. So why and we can even merge this into that, right? So we can merge all the content that currently exists and create sort of like a core educational platform. So why don't we actually do that? Is is it too much to say that we want to create even like a simple web page with all of this on that web page? Like an educational hub almost, where if you want to learn about Flow, you go to this one link, and then from that one link, you can discover everything that Emerald City is producing. And that way, it's a much more central point than just going to a GitHub link, right? That's good. Okay, cool. What do other people think about this? So I'm gonna put like a React here message, and if you think this is a cool idea, just click this 100 icon. So this is what this is talking about is this is like an educational hub for resources on Flow. And if you don't like it, here, let's put like a sad face or crying. So if you don't like it, put the crying. So Phil has his site already. So yes, that is true. But the thing about that flow, I think it's called Get the Flow Down. The thing about that is that it's sort of like a GitHub README. So yeah, so what we will do is on this Emerald City site, we will sort of have like Phil, because Phil is also in this community. We will have like a pointer to his Get the Flow Down. But what this is more talking about is like resources that are coming directly out of like Emerald City almost, to sort of highlight the contributions that are going on within this DAO. And we could also add features like discovery and demos and examples and stuff like that. And Phil is also an admin in this community, so I imagine that Phil will work. I imagine that we can work very closely together to sort of come up with a. It could even be like a get the flow down V2 where Phil is sort of like a core part of that. And we sort of have that new system. But I'd be happy to talk to him about it. So Phil's more like curated resource than Cadence, but for tutoring, I think. Yeah, so that's another thing, right? So maybe it's worth drawing distinctions between like what these two things are, right? So it's like where the get the flow down is sort of covering like all the cadence, like every cadence resource that there is. This Emerald City sort of educational hub will be more about highlighting the contributions that are coming out of the DAO. And we could also add other things to it. Like I think one thing that would be really cool is we sort of like in the back end of that website, we have like almost like a leveling system where people that are completing tutorials along the way gain experience throughout, and that's sort of tracked on the website or some cool feature like that. Um, oh, and another thing, um, well, let's actually look that up. So what is this? So I've never heard of this before, but I'm actually really curious. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so this is Andrea. Hey.
Hey, Andrea.
I just thought I would walk you through it. So the reason I really like this Kaggle, if I don't know if it's here, go to like learn or courses
Yeah.
at the top. So they have a bunch of courses, and every time you complete one, you get a badge on your account. And
Nice.
the courses themselves are very interactive, which I know is um, easier said than done,
Mhm.
because Kaggle uses Python notebooks and you can do everything interactively. We have the playground on Flow, which we can use, right?
Yeah.
But I really like the badge system and the way that they structured these courses. It's very sequential, so that if you start from the first one and you work your way down, it's going to give you a good foundation, and you're always incentivized. And if you click on one, try clicking on Python. Let's see if you
Yeah.
can. I actually took the Python one, and I had, I was always a JavaScript guy, and I took this one a couple years ago, and it like, yeah, it doesn't teach you everything about Python, but it definitely gives you a very good foundation to then keep learning.
I love it. Yeah, this is really awesome. So, like this is super cool because what we can do is we can sort of have this like Kaggle platform, but we have different launching points for people. So like if you go to the courses tab, there would be like intro to development, there would be intro to what's a smart contract, there would be advanced cadence concepts, or even like the contract review series, right? So there's so many different things we could put here, and make it in a way that's sequential and easy for people to understand, which again is much easier said than done, but I really like that. And the other cool thing about it is that throughout the whole process, it's highlighting the things that people are doing in Emerald City. So I liked it a lot. And like you
Yeah,
said,
and yeah, sorry, no, sorry. I just want to add that every course also has an author or authors. So, people who contribute this type of content will get recognized. So it's not just an anonymous course.
awesome.
So if you look at the right, you see instructor there.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and one other thing that I'd also maybe like to propose is that instead of just earning a badge, what we could do is take some of the funds that are coming into the Emerald City Treasury and distribute it to people that are completing these courses, right? So if you think about a system where it's like getting paid to learn, or yeah, earn to learn, there it is, right? So a system where we are literally paying people to learn about the Flow blockchain because we want people to come into the system and we want people to feel comfortable in the Web3 space. So I think we have a really unique opportunity to pay people to to better themselves in the Flow community. And I think that a lot of people would really gravitate towards that. I'm not sure what you all think about that, but sort of like a earn to learn sort of format. Okay, so that's really beneficial. So in terms of like the so we could just sort of have like an education category. I just wrote the thing below just to help, but oh God, I can't spell. But we sort of have like a let's just write down like Kaggle platform, earn to learn, and then like a way to highlight the educational resources coming out of Emerald City. Or is it learn to? Oh yeah, wait, what is it? Oh yeah, because if it was earn to learn, then you would be. Oh
You would have
yeah.
to earn money in order to learn
Yeah,
something.
yeah, you'd be forced. Yeah, so it's learn to earn. Yeah, that's really fun. I have been using other platforms similar to Kaggle in the past, but don't. Oh yeah, that's okay, BRTech. If you happen to remember, just let us know. I'd be happy to write it down. Um, so this is really cool. So figure out what education. Okay, and then we also I want to include this, right? So figure out what educational gaps there are, because we want to make sure that we're covering everybody. And then BAM. So BAM, you also mentioned like having some sort of system where there are different community members, sort of like um, in different like there are different community members teaching in different categories. And what this means is that like we could almost have a system where people are signing up to teach, intro to development. And then if someone joins the Emerald City Discord and they want to learn about, intro to development, they know who to go to. Or if they want to learn about, advanced cadence concepts, you can go here. Now, one thing I will say about this is that I don't know if you all have noticed that I do this, but I try to keep the separation as minimal as possible. What I mean by that is I like having minimal channels. I like having minimal amounts of roles. I like sort of having everyone being able to contribute together. And so if we were to come up with this sort of system, this doesn't mean like sort of separating the educational community. We want everyone to be together. And so this could sort of be like sort of like when someone joins the Discord and we know that one person's really good at teaching cadence, we just refer to them, but we still want everyone to be able to contribute. So we can sort of talk about this a little more as time goes on. Oh, here we go. So let's actually open this up. So exorcism. I think I said that. So get really good at programming. Fluency. Oh, cool. Oh, look at this. This is so nice. I love this UI. I really like this UI a lot. This is really cool.
It's cool. It's cool that if you look at the top right, they have mentors,
Yeah.
which I think is a cool concept for people learning.
Yeah, so this is sort of like a Stack Overflow system where the people that are answering the most questions are getting reputation. Um, so contributors explore getting started. Yeah, look at this. So these are people so this is solutions mentored. So where can we actually view like some of the Oh, let's see his contributions. So he created a pull request and got 12 reputation points for it. Oh, and this is all through okay, this is interesting. So this is all on GitHub.
Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Bjartek.
Wait a minute. Hey, so I've been using Exorcism a little bit in the past. So what you do is that you have a command line client that you can install that basically guides you through taking courses. So if you ask for a new course, it will track your progress. So you
Mhm.
can install it onto your computer, and it's pretty automated. You can just ask it to check out the next course for you, and then when you do the course, you commit that as a pull request to GitHub. And it's a
Ah,
really smooth experience, actually. So I've done the one. If you search for Bjartek there, I believe I will be. I've done some Go and I've done some Rust in the future in the past.
sweet.
No, okay. It's a while ago since I used it, but I encourage you to try it out because I really like that it encourages using GitHub and pull requests, and
Yeah.
you can basically solve things the way you want. So you can, yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing this. I really like the simplicity of the UI, because like you sort of go here and like this will be a little different for like the Emerald City because uh we'll only have like a certain number of tracks like it's like cadence and that's kind of like the main idea, but we could sort of split it up into like different levels of expertise like intro developer learning smart contracts, that whole sequence, and then I also really like that like they post where was that? I think I just lost it. Um I think I just lost it, but they posted like little like example solutions and that was like really cool to see as well. So like an NFT smart contract and stuff like that. So I we could definitely return to this and look at sort of how they make the experience really easy. So thanks for sharing that. Cool. Um So then, let's see. So then, okay, yeah. So let's just. So then, this is talking more about like the individual committees and like how we're going to sort of separate into different committees. Um, here's the committee structure. So there are three committees. So this is from M Club. We'll change this as we see fit. Each will operate independently, reporting out and collaborating at the weekly EC town hall. So each committee will also be granted a budget of blah blah blah. So we will sort of have to think about what this sort of system will be because we don't have funding or grants at the moment, but there have been people reaching out saying, we actually really want to, provide some sort of funding. And so I think that funding should go to these communities, or these committees. So if we were to give, let's say, like 1,000 FUSD to the education committee, then that education committee will decide on how they distribute it. Um, and what that means is like, if people, um, if the education committee votes on and decides that we want to distribute bounties for like the what is it learn to earn format, then they can do that. And that this committee is the one deciding that. Similarly for the building committee, if we decide like we give them 1,000 FUSD, then this committee will decide okay we're gonna pay people like 50 FUSD to like help with the bot or something, right? But that's all arbitrary numbers. So let's just put like a sort of underscore here and we'll put this in like FUSD just for now. So these tokens will be spent during season 0 to recognize and reward the work toward products as identified and decided upon by that specific committee. Any unspent tokens within each committee will be rolled over within that committee to be used by that committee in future seasons. Okay. So we can have published courses resources to measure each one's contribution, and at the same time we can have finished courses to keep track and committee members' progress, and also maybe will be one of the supporting to prove their understanding on cadence. Yeah, so I like that. Okay, so let me write that down actually. So what we can do is sort of have this like I'm just gonna like put this sort of like in its own thing for now, just so that we can see it clearly. But if we talk about this like Emerald, so like this Emerald City educational hub, what we want to do is like keep track of the educators' contributions and keep track of the learners' progress. And this is all through like sort of a reputation system. So people that are publishing courses, maybe the more that course gets used, maybe they get some sort of contribution or some sort of reward. And then people that are learning get, paid to learn. So both of these are really important. All right. So this is sort of the committee structure. So this is sort of just saying, if there are, some tokens involved in the community, then it will go to these different committees here. So here's the education committee. So the education committee's goal is to foster a learning experience for people interested in creating and working within a DAO and help contributions of all experience levels. This is kind of similar to what we want, right? So is to foster a learning experience for people interested in creating and working within a DAO, as well as the Flow blockchain. It is meant to, let's see, help contributors of all experience levels learn and gain further experience working, gain further experience developing on Flow. So it's responsible for internal DAO operations support. Okay, so let's just get rid of this part, right? So this seems to be like the main sort of purpose of the education committee. So it's to foster a learning experience for people interested in creating and working within a DAO, as well as the Flow blockchain. It is meant to help contributors of all experience levels learn and gain further experience developing on Flow. So boom. So this is sort of the purpose of this is the main purpose of the education committee and what they will be sort of voting and talking about. So let's talk about the season 0 education committee objectives. So we can sort of get rid of this, but we can say, we want, we don't want to like, shoot for the moon and completely fail, but we can definitely like come up with some like key objectives to do. So maybe we want to like launch a simple educational hub where people can go to for, educational resources. These are coming out of the Emerald City community. So this education community includes the learners, it includes the educators, it includes the people trying to teach people about flow and cadence. And we maybe want to launch like a simple educational hub to do that. And then also like discuss and come up with a contribution system or / rewards system for educators and learners. So figuring out some sort of way to reward people for learning and contributing to this, this hub. So I think that this is a really key I think these are the key goals for the educational community thus far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post like a react because that seems to be going well, and just like either thumbs up or thumbs down this if you like it or not. So let me just put the other one. I like this format because I get feedback. Cool. It seems like for the most part people are liking it. All right. I see some people typing, so I'm just gonna this would be one of the voting mechanisms we use in the future for a quick minor of yeah, right. So like when we sort of have like the votes in the Discord, we'll be using something like this, yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna talk about like the voting thing in a second too. I really like this. I like the thumbs up, thumbs down though, because I get quick feedback. If of other languages, oh yeah, so maybe we could even reach out to yeah, so maybe, it's why like reinvent the wheel if we could just like reach out to stuff like this. So what we could even do is reach out to some of these platforms and ask like, oh, so here, let's just see there's a bunch of language tracks. Oh, is Solidity on here? I really hope that'd be great if it is. Oh no, it's not. So it might be like a little difficult to convince that, but we could certainly reach out to places like Exorcism and ask if they have like cadence stuff, because we could literally point there and say like this is all coming from Emerald City. Cool. And if we had that, I mean, you could imagine how amazing that would be. Because if we had like a completely new track, like you could imagine how like explosive that would be here. All right, so yeah, let's consider doing that for sure. I think that would be really cool. You can yeah, that'd be amazing, Bjartek. Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind, I guess Andrea or Bjartek, if one of you wanted to take that on, that would be like a huge step in this sort of aspect. So maybe like reaching out to other platforms so we don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah, that would be really great. I'm gonna put a 100 on that because that is awesome.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Sweet. Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, I mean, given the purpose of Emerald DAO, I don't want it to be like a Dapper thing, right? It should be a community thing.
Yep.
So I won't be writing on behalf of Dapper, but hopefully it's possible to add a track, and if they give us pushback or we need some resources to do it, then I can go back and see if if like the flow team is willing to help out. But I really want this to remain like a community effort.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, thanks a lot for saying that. So yeah, this this should be something that is like on behalf of the community, since a lot of these resources will be coming out of Emerald City. But yeah, I guess like in worst case scenario, we could sort of like explore how else we could like sort of approach this. But yeah, that's a really good point. All right, cool. So I think these are like some really key and important things. So either, like this happens where, I think first we maybe reach out to other platforms, and if we can't, then maybe we consider launching like our own hub. Um, could we work on creating the content for the course as a community? That's exactly what will happen. So what's going to happen is like, if we somehow were to get cadence on exorcism, then all the courses that come out of this community will be like community developed, right? So right now, like I have this Flow Zero to Jacob course. If we were to get sort of a cadence track on exorcism, this would become community owned. So everyone would have a say here. And we would, sort of work together. So people that are, I guess I should say not everybody, but people that are in the education committee will be working on resources like this to publish it to exorcism. So, if we click on Python, right, there's like what happens if we join the Python track? I don't know. Okay, I guess I need to sign up, but like explore concepts. Yeah, so you sort of get the idea, right? So we'll work on this course together. How do new language tracks get added to the site? A new language track gets created when a member of the community takes the lead on it and becomes a maintainer. Oh. Oh, so it looks like it's like fully possible.
Yeah, I think it's fully community driven. I think it's just you basically just submit a request to create a new platform and own it, and then you own it.
All right.
Awesome.
So okay, I'm gonna put this in here. So let's make, this is gonna be #1 priority. So let's make this like, how do I do this? This is like #1 priority right here. So why don't everyone that's interested in the educational committee, let's make this our #1 task. So I'll be in this committee for sure. And let's all work together to sort of come up with a proposal. And we can even have like a separate meeting to discuss just this. So this is super important. And is everyone okay with this? So yeah, I'm gonna put like another React thing. So if you are okay with like talking to Exorcism about this, then thumbs that up. And a downvote React would mean sort of reinventing the wheel, but okay. So it seems like most people are on board with this, so that's great. So let's make this our #1 task. Okay, cool, great. Thanks so much, everybody. That was really helpful. Okay. So I know we only have 10 minutes left, so let's just sort of go over the building committee, and then I think we could, this is all going to be really quick, but let's go over the building committee. So let's change this to the building committee is responsible for creating DAO tooling. So DAO tooling that supports Emerald City's mission to help DAOs on Flow get up and running. Okay. So what this means is, obviously all of you know that the purpose of the building committee is to make product. But so let's sort of go through this, right? So we want to so the building committee should let's see. So a key objective for January and February should be to let's see, get flow.land on mainnet. Oh, another big task, I think, is to create an Emerald City website. So sort of like a central point to have all of this information. So create an Emerald City website. And then let's also reach out to DAOs to talk about what product they might want. And then, maybe we'll also add in here a voting mechanism. But this is going to be very closely tied to Dapper Collective. So Dapper Collective. So, okay, so this is an important topic that I will mention. So yesterday, I met with the Dapper Collective team, and we are basically, the summary of the meeting that I had with Dapper Collective team is that we will be pretty involved in this voting mechanism. So what this means is right now the Dapper Collective team is working on developing a snapshot equivalent for Flow. Yeah, so that's Bullen, that's actually what I'm going to be going over now. So for those of you that don't know, let's go to snapshot.org and let's look at, so this is all on Ethereum, okay? So these are all Ethereum DAOs, so ENS, Sushi, Gitcoin, these are all DAOs on Ethereum. Now, if we were to click on one, let's click on this DAO. You'll see there's a bunch of proposals, right? So there's like these amount of members, there's proposals, you can make a new proposal. And here's like a proposal that's actually active right now. So let's see what this proposal is. So this is create foundational working groups and working group rules. Okay, so I have no idea what that means, but it's a proposal, right? So they have a summary, they have like a description of what this proposal is, the motivation behind the proposal, all this stuff, right? And so there's a bunch of text here talking about the proposal. And then you can vote on it. So you're either for it, you're against it, or abstain. I don't even know what abstain means, but anyway. So you can vote, right? What Dapper Collective is doing is they're basically building this equivalent on Flow. And they will be open sourcing it and presenting it to the Flow community in the next 2 months. Once that happens, Emerald City will be a core contributor to that voting mechanism so that we can actually work directly with the Dapper Collective team to build up this tooling. So yeah, so Matt Moyes is from Dapper Collectives. They threw a list of what they're working on. Yeah, so in resources. So that's sort of my next point as well. So the voting mechanism will be helping Dapper Collective with that. Now, I'd like to mention that this voting mechanism won't cover every use case, right? So it's fully possible that this will be helpful for many DAOs on Flow. A lot of DAOs will want this sort of mechanism, but that doesn't mean that that's what every DAO is going to use. There's going to be a bunch of different voting mechanisms that people want in order to succeed, and one of which is a voting mechanism that we're going to be sort of developing after Max Starka from the Flow team contributed his ideas to a sort of like representative structure voting model, which we will be using actually in the beginning phases of our DAO, because a snapshot equivalent doesn't really make sense for us at the moment and doesn't really make sense for DAOs at the beginning stages anyway. So we'll be talking through the voting mechanism in a bit. So this sort of gets into the governance committee though. So talking about like different levels of governance, but before we get there, let's actually click on what BAM sent. So here, so this is what I want to show you. So so Matt and I, when we met yesterday, we sort of wanted to have sort of like a list of tooling that needed to be built. And the reason for this is because there's a lot of people out there that are trying to tackle tooling on Flow. And we want to make sure that we're not duplicating effort. So the developers that are building this tooling should be working together to contribute to a better ecosystem, right? So this is sort of like awesome Flow, which means like this is just a list of projects, tools, and resources and tools we need, right? So let's sort of take a look at this, right? So ready to use. So like Crypto Dappy, right? So this is an educational thing. Flow Zero to Jacob. So this is sort of like what I was showing you. The Learn Cadence series that I've been doing. So these are both tutorials. I didn't even add these. So whoever added these, thank you. Thank you for adding these. So then there's some templates, dev tools, right? So this, go with the flow. So this is Phil's, list of resources, right? So really awesome. I think it is. Oh, no, it's not. No, this is BRTech. Oh, sorry. Phil's is get the flow down. That's different. So yeah, it's different. Yeah, cool. So yeah, so then so that's there as well. And then in development, so this is stuff that's actually being like currently developed. So DAO governance, so a voting tool. That's what I was just talking about. That's what Dapper Collective is sort of working on right now, the snapshot equivalent. Token/NFT Discord gating. So this is being developed by Emerald City, right? So we're actually on this list, which is really cool. And then a multi-sig wallet, Dapper Collective is also doing that. And then this is where things get really interesting, right? So these are things that are needed. And this is where the product team, or the building committee, will be looking here. So an NFT minter, I don't even know what a lot of these are, but like Scaffold ETH, let's look that up. So Scaffold ETH, let's look at this. Okay, so I guess like building on Ethereum quickly. So there's a lot of stuff that will be put here that DAOs will need. Oh, you're a builder for Scaffold ETH, Arduino. Nice. So then what would be really cool, Arduino, actually, is if you were to like sort of look into making this equivalent for Flow, right? So that would be super cool. I'm not exactly sure what Scaffold ETH is, but using a front end that adapts to your smart contract. So I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I think it's like Create React app. I think it must be, right? I hate the biddle thing. Um, anyway, yeah. So oh sweet, yeah. So Arduino, actually, if we wanted to even work together, if you wanted to sort of be on the building committee and sort of go over this scaffold E thing, but for Flow, let's start talking about that, right? That'd be pretty cool. But anyway, the point is that this is sort of a list of resources that need to be built and stuff that's being built. So yeah, so we can look here. The building committee, I'm gonna put this here. So the building committee will look here to do that. All right. Now we only have a few minutes left, so I don't want to go over time because I know all of you have stuff to do. But let's say the governance committee. So the governance committee is to help the DAO operate smoothly and efficiently so that the DAO can maximize its impact on the Flow ecosystem. So let's make this, so establish a document, a clear voting process. So this is definitely important. Create internal documentation for governance processes. That's also important. Propose a budget. That's also important. And so instead of support creators, let's say propose a budget to support the different committees. So this is building / education. And then conduct regular reviews of treasury allocation. And okay, so this is too advanced for what we are currently at. All right. So this is really important. And then the last thing I would say is to come up with the representative voting structure. Idea founded by Max. Okay. Then we can spin through this, so we don't have to do any further reading so far. Governance process, so decisions requiring allocation of funds from Treasury. Okay, so this is sort of where we get into the different levels of governance here. Decisions requiring allocations of funds from Treasury. So for any decisions that require funds from the Treasury, committee should follow the process, provide a summary of the decision to be made and options available, including a link to the proposal document, a time frame for discussion, do a temperature check, voting using okay, so this might be a little out of scope because I don't think in the next 2 months we will be dealing with funds from the Treasury, so I might even just delete this for now so it's less confusing. So, and what we can say is that any so what we will say here is that any decisions regarding funds / grants will be made by the governance, Jesus, I cannot type, by the governance committee. And then one of the governance committee's goals is to set up like a representative voting structure to sort of handle these decisions, right? And then decisions that do not require allocation of funds. So Twitter handle, committee should follow, provide a brief summary. And so, okay, so this will be like the representative voting structure that we will come up with. All right. So I just sped through the end because I don't want to take up people's time. But what we will do is in the next, because the cool thing is that we're gonna have this officially start January 1st. So why don't we take the next 2 weeks to refine this, and then in late December we will vote yes or no on this using the representative structure. And if it becomes yes, then it will go through. And if it becomes no, then we will revise this in January. So I'm going to do one last sort of react here. If everyone is happy, if everyone's happy with this document so far, and the sort of vision for what this is going to look like in the next 2 weeks.
Do you mind just explaining what the representative voting structure is going to be like?
Yeah, of course. So the representative voting structure is sort of a way to figure out governance at the very beginning. So what we have sort of been talking about is the fact that at the very beginning, it doesn't make sense for everybody to have a vote. And the reason for this is because, we have people like all of you who are in here contributing every day and really understand the goals of the community. Whereas, people that joined yesterday might not know as much about what the goals are. So it's sort of a structure where we have sort of these representatives on a legislative board, and the community members can put their vote into any of the representatives. So sort of like delegating their vote.
Okay.
And then those representatives will almost vote, yes or no, and all the votes in their pool will go to whatever they vote on.
Got it. It's kind of like delegated proof of stake.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. And so I think that this sort of, this might be something that, we talk about and sort of go over because maybe some people are like, no, that doesn't make sense. But I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from Chase Chapman, who I've talked to quite a bit. She's, been talking about how it doesn't really make sense to have everyone voting on something if, they don't fully understand about what the goals and interests of the DAO are.
Right. Cool.
So,
Got it.
Jacob, I have a quick question about that.
Yeah.
It's Julian. I'm thinking only because I've lived in DC for a very, very long time, and I've seen like kind of where human nature comes into play
Yeah.
with a representative structure. So technically, even in our government, right, your state representatives are supposed to vote in the way that the people ask them to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that with what you were just saying, you have these representatives, and then everyone else, whether it's the person who just joined the DAO yesterday or what have you, cast their votes up underneath of that particular representative, and then the representative is supposed to vote in that manner. Doesn't that basically sort of just create another layer that's going to end up with the same sort of result in having someone who just joined yesterday still sort of having or casting a vote, which does sort of count if you get enough newbies voting in one direction versus maybe the folks who are here early have more weight to their vote. So to give another example, I guess, from history or from government, where you used to have where landowners were the ones who had the largest weight in their vote because they actually own property or they own land. So I just wanted to kind of give the flip side where you still may, in the long run, end up with a problem when we're at, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thanks, Julian. Yeah, it's certainly a problem because if you think about it, like, if someone joins the DAO yesterday, and they need to, submit a vote, they're going to join the DAO and see like 10 representatives and just throw their vote onto one person because they just see them talking to Discord or something, but they're not even going to understand really where that person's interests lie anyway. So there still is sort of that gap where they're just like voting on something that they don't really like truly understand. I think where the difference sort of lies is that like, in this structure, the community member who is voting can change their vote at any time, can delegate to another person. So it's sort of like if they, elect, right now in our structure, if you were to elect the president, you can't, rechange that vote for 4 years. Whereas in this case, if you were to submit your vote to someone, then you could change that tomorrow if you wanted to. And the other difference is that if we like these representatives, representative almost seems like kind of like a bad term because when we think of representative, we think of like maybe like 4 or 5 people. I'm thinking of like a whole list of representatives that are all like the early, no pun intended, the early adapters here. People that were in the DAO originally. So this could be upwards of 50 people or 100 people, right? It's just that these are people that have shown contribution, interest in the DAO. And so that they can sort of communicate to the community where they lie, and then people can submit their vote as they wish. And in addition, the way that the community members can sort of like prevent sort of tyranny almost is community members can propose a new representative to be on the board, and with let's say just a random number, let's just say with the 50% vote on the representative side. If they vote yes, then that person will become a representative as well. So there's no cap on the amount of representatives that you could have.
Got you.
Yeah.
I have one last question with that. And just trying to stave off some stuff. Does it go against the spirit of the DAO if new members to the DAO maybe have a probationary period before they can vote? So at least they have some time, whether it's 30 days, 90 days, what have you, but there's some time where they are kind of forced to spend spend some time around the DAO and hopefully soaking up some information before they start voting. Is that against the spirit of what you want to do?
Honestly, I think not at all. I think that's probably much more in line with what a DAO sort of wants, because I think that there's a common misconception in DAOs that decentralization implies everyone has a say. which that's not true. Because in a DAO, you want the contributors to be the ones that are deciding stuff. You want people that understand the interests and goals of the DAO to have a say. So sort of like democracy does not really imply that I get not democracy, but like decentralization doesn't imply everyone has equal vote. Just because that wouldn't be of best interest to Emerald City. So people that join, let's say they have like a 2-week probation period, that's a time for them to sort of build up their understanding, and then that way in 2 weeks' time they can vote on something that they actually feel is important. So I actually think that's probably pretty essential to the DAO, and this representative voting structure is like sort of like an indirect way of doing that. Just by saying like, hey, you can't really vote, you have to like give it to someone else who knows what they're talking about. But that's a very interesting sort of way of doing it, and maybe that's a better way, honestly.
Thank you. Appreciate the answer.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking. So Script Money seems to have some comments on the Season 0 document. Where is that? Oh. May I know if you have anything would like to voice out? It's completely fine if you don't want to. Feel free. Just don't want to miss any advice. Oh yeah, so Script Money, if you have anything to say, 100%, feel free to type it out or just unmute. So maybe what we could even say is that instead of like this governance instead of representative voting structure, maybe the here's the governance committee, right? So we'll just say leave this to the governance committee. Actually, you know what? I don't even like this. Because I think it's confusing. I think we should just have 3 committees, right? So education, focus on education, building, focus on product, and governance focused on, this kind of stuff we're talking about now. So maybe we even mention like this thing that Julian was talking about where, maybe we reconsider what exactly it means to have a valuable vote while maintaining like the idea that early adapters, or maybe not early adapters, but like contributors, have greater say. So this is like maybe a key objective of the governance committee. And like I said, this is all like this. I was just writing this down during this meeting, so this is like very informal. But by the time January 1st comes around, these will be in much more of like a formal fashion, and much more concise, so that we can vote yes or no on it. So I think the last thing I want to say is that, like I was saying earlier, I really don't like splitting people up because it makes it seem like there's just so much going on. And one of the things that, like, for example, I've been in Developer DAO for a few weeks now, and one thing I really don't like about it is that it's so split up, and people that join the Discord don't know what's going on. So I really want these 3 committees to, and this is just me, but I would hope that these 3 committees would be intertwined, because I don't want people to feel like they can be on this one and not this one. But what we can do is sort of get a feeling for who wants to contribute where. And I sort of already have this, like a little bit, right? Like, I know that Bullent, for example, has been so helpful in contributing to the education and building committee. And I know that, for example, Arduino would love to be in the building committee, right? To build the scaffold ETH equivalent for Flow. And I know that BAM, for example, would love to probably be on the educational committee, right? Through learning and teaching others. So I have sort of gotten interest for who wants to be where, but this is, a decision for all of you to sort of make where you're interested in contributing. And then sort of like aligning what you do in the DAO to one of these committees. And we could maybe even have like separate roles for these, but like you sort of get the point. I'll contribute as a learner. Yeah, no, that's a really important part of the education committee, though, right? Is the learners. All right, awesome. Wow, that was I think we got a lot done, and a lot of ideas down. So, thanks so much, everybody. If there's any concluding thoughts, feel free to stick around. I'll answer some questions. But thanks a lot for contributing your ideas. And let's and also I do want to say actually Bjartek, do you want to give some words about the dot find project? Because I know that you recently launched, and I think a lot of people here would love to hear about it.
Hey, yeah, I'm just in the middle of dinner, but I can give it a try.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, let me just turn off the heat. Yeah. So, find this. It's a tool we're making really to help the entire ecosystem. We want to make it easier to find people and their things, and we want to try to make it affordable for everybody. So it shouldn't be expensive to have a fine name, but we have to monetize one way or another to keep us afloat and help us build tools that are good for the community. So it's not totally aligned to the DAO because I have a financial investment as well, but we want to make a tool for the community to be able to show things and link things together, basically. So we have lots of plans. We have a version 2 that's coming out right in the second or third week of January. That is drastically better than what is there now, and the metadata standard was merged 2 days ago, I believe, the flip. And Pete and I are working on a PR to the NFT repo to actually submit the core view resolver concept in there. And then there will be a process of agreeing on the different views that we can have in Flow. And I think it's really important that so the DAO, engage in that to ensure that we get views that we can agree on using, and so it doesn't get a lot of fragmentation. Because if you go to find XYZ and search for my name and slash collection, you can see some NFTs. And right now I can send the link in here probably. So right now we are just hard coding things, right? Because we don't have a standard. So we're hard coding all of this to support as much as we can, but we really don't want to do that. We want to use the standard, but you want to use storage manager, I believe it is. That's another PR that's coming soon. That will enable you to browse your storage and then show all your views. So what you're seeing there in the screen now, it's basically my versus art, and you can see my versus art for sale here. If you scroll a bit further down, you can see my goobs, right? And go down, you can see my flowcharts, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it's so cool that I was able to mint the angel. So the angel is the reaction in flowcharts. I was lucky enough to have a halo in one of my first packs, so I
Nice.
was able to mint that. And yeah, so right now, Versus is resolving fine names, and Schwab's Amit's thing is resolving fine names, and Flowchart will as well soon. So if you want to do that to show your NFTs or to resolve an address, an address from a name or anything, basically just contact me and we can figure it out. We want to integrate as much as possible, help people grow together, basically.
Yeah. And if you want to, reserve a fine name, it's super simple to do. I love the UI here, claiming your .find identity. And I also like to mention that the reason that I'm sort of bringing this up, the .find project, is because it will be super, super beneficial to the bot that we're, developing. So I don't know if you guys saw the huge text wall that I sent, but woohoo, big news. The bot that we were using in Emerald City is now available for all DAOs. It's on testnet obviously because we haven't we haven't passed the Flow team's contract approval yet. But this bot that we were developing is now available for all DAOs. So what this means is that the bot is now configured to read any type of NFT or fungible token in someone's collection. And a big part of .find is sort of resolving NFTs and FTs in people's collections through the metadata standard that BRTech has been working on for many months now. So this will be a core feature of the Discord bot once this goes deployed to mainnet and as the .find project continues. So really look forward to that. And if you're interested in learning more about .find, join BRTech's Discord or reach out to him because he's very helpful.
Yeah, so we plan to have content addressability to each NFT, but we don't have that yet because the standard is not out. But it will happen when that is out. So you can have like a content addressability to each of your NFT, so you can permalink it kind of. We have basic beasts, bam. We actually have tests for showing or support for showing basic beasts on testnet, and we will have on mainnet soon. So
super cool.
It will come. So we integrate with everybody. We open up for everybody. With even people that are direct or indirect competitors to us, we will support you because we think it's the most important thing is to build the community, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Super
there you
cool.
are, Pizza. Hi.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, BRTech, for talking about that. So yeah, sweet. So we do have to wrap things up here because actually Andrea and I are going to be doing a new series called the Contract Review. And so we're going to be actually reviewing the NFT smart contract, and that video will be out soon. So Andrea, I guess I'll see you soon. Yeah, thanks again everybody for tuning in to Town Hall number 1. Town Hall number 2. Okay, yeah. So the holiday season obviously is coming up, and we want people to enjoy time with their families and have some fun. So it may be the case that we sort of like delay another town hall meeting until everyone's like available. But before we sort of take a break, I'd like to say happy holidays to everyone. I hope you're able to spend time with friends or family or just have some fun. And thanks for your continuous efforts in the community. We're over, I think, 800 people now in the Discord, so we've almost tripled our membership in the past week or so. So crazy growth, and with that comes a lot of interesting talent. So thanks everybody, and happy holidays. Peace out.
All right, Jacob.
Thank you, Julian.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Andrea.
Have a great holiday. Bye-bye.